So that was one thing. And one thing a lot of people kept saying was that it was due to obviously the heavy load on my back, which was myself. So I kind of used that as my motivation to try and lose weight. Um, and then I met another guy, actually a friend of ours, Ravjeet Singh, who actually has lost a lot of weight as well through intermittent fasting, and he told me about the warrior diet. So obviously came to see Habir Singh in his clinic, and I asked him about it, and he shared a load of information with me that kind of just inspired me to want to do it. Did obviously warn me that the warrior diet's not something that is going to be easy to do at first. So you suggested first to do it for 10 days. But then from 10 days, we've now got to just over 3 months. So still going strong.
Amazing, amazing. So I'm gonna try and not take too much time away from you because I talk a lot. So I'm gonna try and keep giving you opportunities to share your experiences because everyone hears enough from me. Obviously, some of these questions um, might be personal, and you don't have to answer them. So you can just say, "Okay, can we skip to the next question?" Um, and if you're fine to answer it, then you can answer it. So I'm putting you on the spot a bit. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you doing this. So you don't have to answer any of these if you don't want to. None of them's too personal, so don't worry about that. Um, so the second question was kind of answered in terms of you heard about it through somebody who had lost weight, which is the best way to learn, right? You kind of know somebody else has done it, that inspires you and us. What were your initial thoughts? Is my next question. So when you heard about this thing, which sounds crazy, and if you can elaborate on what the intermittent fasting and the warrior diet is, because there's lots of people out there who don't really understand it.
So intermittent fasting is basically, for me, is to have a set window where you are eating food, which does all sorts of health benefits that you know about anyway through Habib Singh's channel. But basically, the window I was advised on was 4 till 8, which is the warrior diet, which involves me doing a 20-hour fast. So for 20 hours, you don't eat anything, and then your first meal is at 4 p.m. And most days you'll only really have one meal between 4 and 8, and then have other snacks such as fruit and nuts and like smoothies. But there'll be one kind of meal that you look forward to within that window.
Okay, brilliant. So that's really insightful. Most people hearing that would be shocked and they would think, wow, that's crazy. How could somebody do that? So yeah, how did you do it?
I think I'm a bit stubborn, and I kind of use that to for discipline as well, really. So at first, when Ravjeet Singh told me about it, I kind of thought that if Ravjeet can do it, I can do it. So I kind of just use that to motivate myself. And so up until now, obviously, just been able to keep the discipline. And I think like the results itself, it kind of speaks volumes and makes you want to carry on because you start to see visible results and stuff, and seeing friends and family, weighing myself after a week and stuff, and seeing results in wearing clothes, seeing clothes getting looser for me and stuff. That kind of just kept me going. So I think once you actually start, that will kind of motivate you to want to carry on and continue because you will definitely see results even in the first week and then going forward as well.
Excellent. Thanks for that. So you mentioned kind of a lot of stuff there, and knowing you obviously for a while and going through this journey with you, kind of on the outskirts, there's a couple of things that I noticed about you, which was that you were kind of tracking your weight every week. So fill me in if I make any mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you kind of just got on with it, and also yeah. So the reason those kind of stand out to me is you'll get some people who will track their weight every day, some people who don't measure their weight, so they have no way of objectively knowing whether they've lost weight. And then there's all that kind of controversy over whether you should be tracking weight, whether you should just go by your clothes, how they fit, or so. What are your takes on the kind of way that you did it? Because that was down to you, really.
I think, to be honest with you, the tracking weight was just kind of for myself. It was to kind of make sure that what I was eating during the week wasn't too heavy for my body, and to kind of see. So like this week, for example, now I'm on week approaching 13 weeks, and this week I've started apple cider vinegar, and I've kind of changed up my diet this week. Because I tried to put apple cider vinegar in there through it in my smoothies, just to kind of see if that has an impact on kind of my weight and stuff. So it got to a stage where every week I was losing a certain amount, and now I'm trying apple cider vinegar. So by next Monday, when I weigh myself, um, I'll be able to kind of know that if it has had like a major effect in that week. But then just carry on for maybe even 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So the weighing myself weekly was more of a keeping track for myself, to be honest. I know some people are not fans of weighing yourself every week, but it was just a personal thing, to be honest.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think that's a good idea. In terms of just to keep you on track, and so if, like let's say, yeah, without taking up too much of your time, um, just to know how things are having an impact on your body or not, or whether it's making a difference or not. And the only way you'll know is really by doing that. So thanks for sharing that. How was it when you got started? Like, your first week, your first couple of days, how was that? Can you talk us through that?
I think setting myself the goal of 10 days was definitely a way for anyone to go about it. So just anyone that's considering doing it, definitely just set yourself a target of 10 days, see how that 10 days goes, and then kind of just take it from there. So for me, it was I just took every day as it comes. After 7 days, I weighed myself at yours, funny enough, and when I found out how much I'd lost, I was like, wow, that's amazing. So in my first week, I'd lost 8.5 kg. Think as well as obviously that's really good. A lot of that would have been like water, and it would have been a result of how my diet was prior to intermittent fasting. So I think it was like a major shock for my body because I'm quite a sociable eater. So or I was, and I would tend to eat takeaways and not the greatest of foods. So I think like losing that much in the first week was kind of a result to kind of a bit of a shake up for my body. Um, that you're doing good, so drop the old lifestyle and kind of go with the new.
Amazing. And just to kind of go back to that point, because you mentioned something really interesting about being a social eater, and I think a lot of us are. A lot of food is around rituals that we might have, or routines and stuff. So obviously that's a big shift to, um, you know, to do that. How did you go about doing that? How did it impact on your social life? How did you manage social situations where, if everyone's going out for, something, and how did you manage?
I think it's just discipline, really. A friend of mine got married about a month ago, and I remember going to his wedding at the Gurdwara, and I looked around, and everyone was eating, your pronte and your samosa and everything, and there was me getting tea bags out of my pocket and having a green tea. So it's like it's just a bit, kept the discipline really, and just looked around and thought, okay, everyone's munching on all these pronte and samosa pakode, but there's me drinking a green tea because obviously didn't really fancy eating at that time because of my window. So I think discipline is key. You have to obviously like to see results and to want to achieve your goals. You have to have that discipline with anything really in life. But you obviously just keeping that discipline was really really important for me, and I was lucky to kind of keep that going.
Amazing. And I think that's kind of what differentiates you from a lot of people, including myself, is that we kind of all want quick fixes. We all want somebody to do it for us, and somebody to just whatever it is that we might be trying to achieve health wise for that result to just come. Whereas actually, it's those little wins, like how you manage that wedding scenario, and they're the things that make the difference, not somebody's going to say or something that you're going to buy. It's going to be all down to you. No one can do it for you.
Mm.
And then that kind of brings me on to the next question, which was what's your daily routine like? Because I've shared some of your stories on my IG in terms of your kind of weekly updates.
Mm.
I love get messages from people saying, "How did you do that?" You know, so people want to know, like, are you in the gym 24 hours a day? Like, how does it? What is your life like? Do you have a um, what do you do day to day? Like, do you just stay in the gym all day and on, or how do
No, to be honest with you, having a set routine for gym has been very difficult because I unfortunately have I slipped 2 discs in my back, so that kind of meant that I was home for 3 months, kind of working from home and on my lying down on the floor all day, really, on my laptop. So it's like I was just managing it through stretches and stuff. There wasn't a lot I was able to do in the gym. I did try swimming, but again, there was no set routine. So all of this up until now has been without a set routine of exercise. Like I do get two 30-minute walks a day because I've got a dog and I walk the dog for twice a day. But other than that, there's no set routine of exercise that I've had up until now due to my injury. So
amazing?
hopefully that is something for me to step up as well. And it is something that I definitely will do going forward as my back gets better.
I think that's a learning point as well. In terms of some people think that actually the diet isn't that big of a component, and it all comes down to what you're doing in the gym, and that's really where people make the change in the weight. But actually, you know, you're an example of actually you can do it even without exercise, and that wasn't obviously deliberate. It was because of your injury, but it just goes to show that it's possible, which is I think it's great in terms of let's say you get up like hypothetically at 7 o'clock. How do you make it through till 4 p.m.? Or because I notice the earlier I wake up, the harder I find it to make it to my eating window. How do you manage that?
I always have like a bottle of water next to my bed. So as soon as I wake up, I'll just start drinking a bit of water. And then I'll manage it through having green teas throughout the day, and also having like black coffee, which at first actually really didn't taste good at all. But I kind of like it with ice. So if I make it myself, then I'll just basically put about 4 spoons of coffee, a little bit of hot water, mix it up, and then throw some ice in and some water. And that kind of lasts me about an hour if I put it in one of my shakers. And that kind of just keeps me going. But honestly, the drive itself comes just through seeing results. So always like after once you've done it for a week, once you've done it for 2 weeks, you definitely start to see the difference, even in like your own body shape. So take pictures. You don't have to post them on social media unless you want to, but take pictures and obviously see the comparisons yourself. Like I saw like a drastic change in my body within the first 2 weeks, like body shape and stuff changed. So that was quite positive and kind of kept me going and motivated as well.
You are new to this. It's about learning from each other. Very sorry about that, but so my computer overheated and shut down.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
So let's just maybe wrap up because I know it's taken up a lot of your time. Um, let's just do some quick fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back and do it again, what would you do differently?
Plan. So one of the big things I remember you saying initially when I was considering this was you have to plan your meals. You have to pre-plan what you're going to have, when you're going to have it. And obviously, one thing is it's always nice that when you're hungry, when you get to your window, be it 4 till 8, that you can actually have some food at 4 o'clock when you're hungry. So planning food, you don't want to be stuck in a traffic jam and not have anything. So basically, having a pack of nuts or having some fruit with you if you're on a motorway journey and there's a risk where you could get stuck. Just make sure that you have something with you. So definitely plan a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that makes sense with yourself as well because you have a really busy lifestyle and you're always kind of going to meetings back and forth. So that's even more important. If you're kind of at home, you might have a bit more control over the variables. So what's your advice to people who want to get started? Like, what would you say for them to do next if they're interested and they're inspired by your story and they think, okay, yeah, I want to know more about this or I want to give it a go? What would you say is the next step for them?
I think 100% do it. Do your research into it. The research proves for itself. There's plenty on Ask Habib's YouTube channel as well. Follow him on Instagram because there's loads on there where basically you can learn and hear from other people's experiences as well. And obviously, just seek inspiration, challenge yourself, and do it. Really.
Excellent.
Um, so definitely, yeah, definitely recommend it.
And with the Warrior Diet, I mean, you've been doing it for 3 months now, which is incredible. Starting off from 10 days. What's been the worst moment so far? You don't have to answer that.
Um, the worst moment was probably the wedding. That was hard, man, because there was all sorts of food flying about. So it wasn't just the challenging part in the morning when everyone was having the snacks. It was more kind of after the wedding, after the Anand Garage. Everyone basically went in and there was chili paneer flying about and all sorts. So chocolate fountains and everything. So
Uh,
that, that was quite a challenging moment, to be fair. But obviously, just you know, had a nice meal afterwards, so it was nice.
and again, it just goes to show how kind of the social aspect is so much wrapped into kind of what we eat. Um,
Mm.
and these occasions again, birthday cakes, wedding cakes, it's all kind of part of the kind of social aspects. So there's a lot of challenges. As you mentioned, if you're stuck somewhere, you go to a petrol station, all the food choices are going to be unhealthy, or most the majority of them. Um, so it is kind of, you are fighting against a lot of forces. What's been the best moment so far?
The best moment so far was probably last Monday. Uh, um, I had a bit of a naughty week, so I still kept within my window of 4 hours, but there were days where I did eat out and I did have a couple of naughty meals, and but I think that said, I still lost 0.5 kilo in that week. So I think like the best part was to get to 3 months because I never thought I don't think I've ever done anything consistently for 3 months in my life.
Amazing.
So that was quite an achievement for me personally.
That's amazing. And I think that consistency is the biggest thing. Like you're consistently, you've been consistent, so that's why achieved such amazing things. Um, so a couple of last questions with adversity. Like let's say you probably had people think you're mad and all this kind of stuff. How do you deal with that kind of adversity?
Say that again.
You
Sorry.
probably had people trying to talk you out of it, and how do you deal with adversity in terms of from family or friends?
I think I think anyone sharing their opinion, everyone has a valid opinion to share, really. But then it's kind of also finding out what works for you personally. So it's like I have friends who I've shared like what I'm doing and stuff, and they've tried it. One friend in particular, he actually messaged me yesterday, and he said, "Oh, BG, by doing this, not consistently, but by doing this, I've lost 11 kilos." In just a couple of months. And it was only about a month ago, I saw him sipping on a can of Fanta, and I looked at him and I was like, "Bro, what are you doing?" But but so he's done it without the the everyday kind of discipline. So I think like that was one thing. But generally, like there's a lot of people out there who I think have benefited from it, and friends as well. So it's something I highly recommend, like with family, friends as well, all the time now, because it is something that works and has worked for me. But obviously, everyone's bodies are different, so different people react differently.
Brilliant. Brilliant, and that's really important as well. Not making kind of blanket statements like this is a panacea for everyone's problems. It's try it out, see if it works for you. Um, a couple more questions. So what you mentioned, kind of someone was having Fanta, and you said what are you doing to
Mm.
yourself. So what do you eat? I mean, do you eat relatively clean? I mean, do you like soup salad all day, or I mean during your four hour eating window? Like, what's a typical day?
I mix it up a bit. So obviously, I do have a bit of a busy lifestyle where sometimes I'm out and on the road and stuff and kind of getting everywhere. So on the weekend, I was in Manchester. We had an event in Manchester, so I was there the whole weekend, and I stuck to just roti and sabji and dal. So I just had that, which was just normal food, really. But like today, I've got mixed vegetables that I made, and I'll have like probably two corn burgers with it and some gravy. So that's like a good
Sounds
day,
nice.
personally. So that I'd do that, but like it kind of just varies really. But they're like there's places like if you do ever go to somewhere like Nando's, for example, you can get a salad. So they do a nice quinoa salad, and you can get some halloumi with it, and that kind of works for me as well. So I do try and stay away from like heavy carbs as well, not because of any reason in particular, but it's just because just kind of makes you sleepy and stuff afterwards, and still want to
Yeah.
be able to function. So I do try and go with light portions of food, but honestly, like it gets to a stage where it's like I remember seeing yourself, when one of our friends had a bath at home, and I was having pasta and pizza, and then I was just eating it because I just come from the gym and I was so hungry, and I had no planned meals for that day, and obviously I still lost weight, and it was actually relatively a really good week as well. So I think like a lot of the time, I'm not saying just go and binge, but sometimes if you do find yourself in a position, you can basically eat what everyone else is eating. But if you just keep that discipline within the windows, that itself has a real positive on your overall diet.
Excellent. And you've obviously been helping a lot of people as well now. So like, what's next for you? Is that what you're is? Are you going to be able to kind of help? Are you going to focus on helping other people? Are you still got health goals that you want to reach? Are you going to do a bit of
Yeah,
both?
definitely.
What's next?
So initially I started when I was 132 kilos, and my last weigh day I was 109. I'd like to get to 100 kilos, and then step up. Hopefully by then, aiming for September. Kind of hoping that I would be able to, I'd be a bit better with my back as well, and I'd be able to have like a consistent routine in the gym and stuff. But I think 100 kilos for me has been a goal. So I want to get to 100 kilos and then just kind of take it from there. I think intermittent fasting personally is always going to be something that's part of my life, and my diet. So I might not continue for the rest of my life doing the warrior diet, but I think like I will. The ideal goal is that when I do want to come off the warrior diet, I think I'll probably go on to like 16-hour fasts, and then maybe later on 14 hours, 12 hours, and then just kind of stay at 10 or 12-hour fasts.
Yeah,
That's kind of where I'd like to be long term. But I'm going to continue to actually go with the warrior diet for now.
amazing. And um, and that's really insightful as well. I think that um, it is a lifelong journey, as you said. It's a lifestyle. It's not like a kind of a fad. Um, that you do this and then you lose some weight and then you fluctuate back and down, up and down, because it has changed. Sounds like it's changed your eating habits somewhat, so your food choices somewhat, kind of the way you socialize in terms of food somewhat. So that's obviously changing, kind of more deep ingrained psychological stuff, as opposed to just eat this, eat that. So that's going to stick with you. It affects your hormones, so that's going to have a lasting impact as well in terms of increasing your sensitivity to insulin again, and so helping prevent diabetes, types of things like that. So you've done really well. Just want to congratulate you and thank
Yeah,
you for kind of sharing your journey, because there are very few people out there who put themselves out there to be able to help others. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Um, if people want to get in touch with you and get advice, with what's the best way for them to contact you,
uh, I,
or do you want to contact?
to be honest with you, any advice I get is from yourself. So you just go to Habib's Instagram page and YouTube. But if you do want to message me, you can. It's Babban Singh Akita on Instagram. But honestly, kind of done this with very like I don't have the knowledge to kind of back it up, but obviously the guidance from yourself and the other videos on the channel and stuff has obviously been very inspiring, and obviously just sharing it with other people as well. So it's like I said, this all started off me having a conversation with another brother called Rabjit Singh, who just smashed it. He done it for 5 months and he lost so much weight, like about 30 kilos, I think it was. So he proper smashed it. And obviously, if I can basically put my own story out there and inspire even one person, then brilliant. But it's definitely anyone and everyone should look into, even if your goal is not just to lose weight. I think living a healthier lifestyle and eating the right things is kind of should be a goal for everyone, really. And that's something that obviously, hopefully, I've seen have a positive impact on, with friends and family as well. So that's something that everyone should do, regardless of how you look. So,
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. I know we've taken up a lot of
uh,
your time. I really appreciate it. And sorry about all the technical difficulties.
thank you.
And I'm sure we'll have you on in kind of 3 months' time again if you have some time,
Yeah,
and then find out how your journey's progressing.
definitely. Yeah, mine's good, pa.
Thanks a lot.